Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Envision a narrative where intense passion transcends the boundaries of the ordinary, where an individual is willing to sacrifice everything, even subjecting themselves to self-harm, for overwhelming love. In the following video, we will unveil the sinister story of Potiphar and his alleged fervent passion for Joseph. We kindly ask you to share our video with those interested in deepening their studies in scriptures and appreciate biblical stories presented in this manner. We would also be grateful for your like, at no cost, which will significantly contribute to the continuity of our work and scripture studies for you. Why did Potiphar change genders to lie with Joseph? From ancient times, humanity has witnessed cultural and social practices challenging contemporary concepts of gender identity. Surprisingly, gender change is not a novelty, finding its roots in ancient eras, especially in the reigns of the Medes and Persians, where this practice was almost considered normal and integrated into complex social and political dynamics. In various biblical stories, we find traces of this practice. The Bible reveals that leaders like Artaxerxes, who ruled with firmness, used gender change as a strategy to ensure their safety and maintain control over the royal palace. Men aspiring to serve in the royal palace underwent a radical act, castration. This practice not only ensured the fidelity of the king's wives, preventing extramarital relationships, but also transformed these men into submissive instruments in the hands of the king, intended for use in royal celebrations and festivities. Another striking example is the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, who frequently mutilated people captured during his conquests as a form of punishment for the conquered peoples. This cruel practice extended beyond the brutality of war and represented a constant threat to the loss of masculinity. The purpose of this practice was to intimidate future enemies and ensure that the mutilated individuals became subservient, incapable of challenging the king's power. By mutilating prisoners, Nebuchadnezzar sought not only to defeat a military enemy but to break the spirit of an entire nation. Physical pain became an extension of emotional pain, leaving indelible marks on the minds of those who survived the battles. The fear of mutilation became a powerful psychological weapon, echoing in the minds of future adversaries and sowing submission before the conflict even began. A significant episode occurred in 587 BC when Babylonian forces led by King Nebuchadnezzar II besieged the city of Jerusalem, culminating in the destruction of the temple and the capture of King Zedekiah. Zedekiah, whose reign began in already challenging circumstances, faced growing external threats. Defying the warnings of the prophets, Zedekiah sought support from Egypt, breaking the alliance. This decision provoked the wrath of Nebuchadnezzar, who marched against Jerusalem in retaliation. With the imminent fall of the city, Zedekiah attempted to flee under the cover of darkness but was captured by Babylonian troops on the outskirts of Jerusalem. He was brought before Nebuchadnezzar for a trial that would seal his fate. The Babylonian king, enraged by the alliance's breach, judged Zedekiah for his betrayal. After a severe trial, Zedekiah witnessed his sons being brought before him, becoming a witness to the punishment that would befall his lineage. In a cruel and calculated act, Nebuchadnezzar ordered the mutilation of Zedekiah's sons before him. The intention was twofold: first, to inflict pain and suffering upon the captured king by seeing them mutilated, and second, to ensure that Zedekiah's lineage was permanently damaged, losing the ability to rule or challenge future Babylonian leaders. Unsatisfied with the punishment inflicted on Zedekiah, Nebuchadnezzar ordered the king to be mutilated and taken captive to Babylon. During this painful period of captivity, Zedekiah not only faced physical deprivation but also had his sight taken away, with his eyes pierced, intensifying his suffering and symbolizing complete humiliation and powerlessness before Babylonian might. However, the focus of our video today is the intriguing case of Potiphar and Joseph. If you desire a comprehensive video on the reign of Zedekiah, please leave your comments, and we will arrange it later. The story of Joseph and Potiphar is recorded in the book of Genesis in the Bible, specifically in chapters 37 to 39. Joseph, a biblical character from the Old Testament, was the son of Jacob and Rachel, one of the 12 sons of Jacob known as the sons of Israel. Jacob favored Joseph, arousing jealousy among his brothers. Additionally, Joseph had dreams indicating his future leadership position over his brothers, intensifying their envy. In a crucial event, Jacob sent Joseph to check on the well-being of his brothers who were shepherding the flock far from home. Upon seeing Joseph, his brothers conspired to kill him. However, Reuben, the eldest brother, suggested placing him in a pit instead of killing him, with the intention of rescuing him later. Reuben planned to free Joseph from his brothers and return him to their father. While Joseph was in the pit, a group of Ishmaelite traders passed by. Judah, another brother of Joseph, proposed selling him as a slave to these merchants. The brothers agreed, and Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Thus, Joseph was taken to Egypt and later bought by Potiphar, an Egyptian official and captain of the Pharaoh's guard. Although the Bible does not provide details about Potiphar's origins, it mentions that he was an Egyptian official and captain of the Pharaoh's guard. Possibly, Potiphar ascended to power through his skills and loyal services to the Egyptian court. The title of minister attributed to Potiphar indicates his position as a counselor or high-ranking official in the royal court. He was not just a military officer but someone of great trust to the pharaoh. Additionally, there is an alternative interpretation of the word minister, suggesting that Potiphar could have played the role of an executioner, responsible for carrying out the pharaoh's orders, especially concerning prisoners. His strategic position as the captain of the guard and minister reveals a character who played a crucial role in the administration and execution of the pharaoh's decisions. In Potiphar's house, Joseph quickly demonstrates exceptional skills and is promoted to the administrator of everything Potiphar owned. The narrative highlights Joseph's prosperity under Potiphar's supervision, indicating the trust Potiphar placed in him. The Bible also mentions Joseph's remarkable beauty, which attracts the attention of Potiphar and his wife. The story takes a dramatic turn when Potiphar's wife attempts to seduce Joseph. However, Joseph rejects her advances, remaining faithful to his moral and ethical principles. Potiphar's wife, frustrated by the rejection, falsely accuses Joseph of attempted rape. This false accusation leads to Joseph's imprisonment, where he remains for a period. Even though unjustly imprisoned, Joseph continues to demonstrate his exceptional skills, interpreting the dreams of other inmates. On a certain day, two of Pharaoh's servants, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, experienced distinct dreams that left them troubled with interpretations. Joseph, known for his ability to decipher dreams, noticed their distress and promptly offered to help. The chief cupbearer described a dream in which he saw a vine with 3 branches, flourishing and producing grapes that he squeezed into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph interpreted this as a sign of restoration, indicating that in 3 days, the chief cupbearer would be reinstated to his position, returning to serve Pharaoh. Meanwhile, the chief baker dreamed of 3 baskets of bread on his head, with the highest basket containing bakery products destined for Pharaoh, but birds were devouring them. Joseph's interpretation was ominous, foreseeing that in 3 days, the chief baker would be executed, and birds would feed on his flesh. Both interpretations proved accurate, and events unfolded as predicted by Joseph. The chief cupbearer was restored to his position, while the chief baker was executed, as indicated in the dreams. Despite the fulfillment of Joseph's predictions, the chief cupbearer, upon being reinstated, neglected his promise to present Joseph to Pharaoh. Thus, Joseph remained in prison for some more time, facing new challenges. However, his remarkable ability to interpret dreams remained impressive, and eventually, Pharaoh had a perplexing dream that troubled his counselors. The chief cupbearer remembered Joseph and his unique skill, leading to Joseph being summoned to Pharaoh's presence to interpret the dream. Analyzing the dream, Joseph revealed that it was a message from God about an imminent food shortage in the region. The vision indicated 7 years of great abundance followed by 7 years of famine, during which all the plenty in the land of Egypt would be forgotten. Famine would consume the land, and the abundance would not be known, preparing Egypt for the challenging period ahead. Impressed with Joseph's wisdom, Pharaoh elevated him to a prominent position, making him the governor of Egypt. Joseph was given the responsibility to oversee the collection and distribution of food during the predicted 7 years of abundance in his dream. His efficient administration allowed Egypt to store food to face the subsequent 7 years of scarcity. In the meantime, curiously, Potiphar changed his name to Potiphera. In biblical culture, names often carry deep meanings, reflecting significant changes in a person's life. The alteration from Potiphar to Potiphera suggests a transformation of identity or role in Egyptian society. The name Potiphera is associated with the idea of something being cut or removed, indicating a radical change. Additionally, Potiphar became a priest, adding layers of complexity to the story. Becoming a priest in the Egyptian context could represent a fundamental shift not only in terms of social role but also spiritually. Priests were eminent and often participated in religious rituals and practices aimed at establishing a connection with deities. Associating these elements, most interpretations suggest that Potiphar may have undergone self-mutilation due to his unrequited passion for Joseph. The intensity of Potiphar's feelings may have been so overwhelming that it led to an extreme change in his own body, perhaps as an expression of devotion or as a new attempt to strengthen the bond with Joseph. In this context, Pharaoh decides to intervene by uniting Joseph with Asenath, Potiphar's daughter. Despite being raised in an environment of faith and tradition in Jacob's house, Joseph does not hesitate to marry Asenath, an Egyptian woman. Pharaoh's strategy plays a crucial role in this choice, as by uniting Joseph with Potiphar's family, it effectively protects him from potential harmful accusations or attempts to harm him by Potiphar or Potiphera. This strategic measure aims to ensure that Joseph remains in his leadership position without facing obstacles from Potiphar or his wife, who had previously falsely accused him. Joseph accepts the marriage without objections, recognizing the need to establish alliances and ensure stability in his position. Marrying the daughter of an Egyptian priest may have been a strategy to gain support and acceptance in Egyptian society, as well as positively influence his wife and future family, thereby preserving his beliefs and values amid a culturally different environment. Joseph's story, from his rise to governance to the reconciliation with his family, is a narrative filled with lessons about forgiveness, divine providence, and how God can use seemingly adverse circumstances to fulfill his purposes. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Click now on one of the 2 videos that will appear on your screen to continue watching. See you soon.